Have you ever caught yourself thinking, my life really isn't what I thought it would be? If so, you are not alone. The hardest part isn't that everything is falling apart. Although maybe there is. But it's the weight of realizing your own dreams are still just dreams. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why so many capable women trade what they truly desire for what feels safe, and how that compromise creates a silent kind of grief that is incredibly hard to name. And here's the first thing you need to know. Wanting more doesn't mean you're ungrateful, and it doesn't mean you failed. Sometimes it means disappointments, compromises, and unmet dreams have been accumulating for a long time. And eventually, those feelings can turn into sorrow, grief, or even regret, or the painful realization that somehow you ended up living less of your life than you hoped you would at this point. My name is Linda, and I coach women over 50 every single day. And I see this experience constantly because when these heavy feelings show up, our immediate instinct is to blame ourselves. We tell ourselves we should just be happy with what we have. But that restlessness isn't a defect. It's information trying to tell you that an important piece of yourself, um, an important piece of who you are, has been left behind. Now, we don't consciously choose to settle for less. The dream doesn't necessarily disappear. We still want the relationship, we want the meaningful work, the adventure, the peace. We want a life that feels more like who we are. But what changes is more subtle. Little by little, we stop believing what we have, or what we have, that it what we don't have what it takes to change things, is basically we stop believing that, or we start believing that. And we stay with what is familiar because familiar feels safer than another disappointment. So we stop risking, we stop reaching. And here's why this matters. Every time we stop reaching for something we still deeply want because we've stopped believing it's possible for us, we leave a little piece of ourselves behind. We subconsciously buy into a brutal cultural belief, such as if I didn't build the life that I wanted, I must not be brave enough or smart enough or disciplined enough, or maybe I didn't even want it enough. So take a look at your own life and tell me if the following looks familiar. You stopped putting yourself forward. You stopped applying for the role, for the job. You stopped asking for what you need. And you started saying things like, maybe when things are different, maybe when I have more confidence, maybe when life settles down, maybe when I have enough experience, even at this point in our lives. And I know this because I've wrestled with it myself. I recently looked at my own path and realized how many times I accepted roles that underpaid me and undervalued me. And the painful part wasn't the work, it was the realization that I wanted more. I just didn't believe I could create it. I didn't believe I could achieve it. And here's the real trap. The more we believe we don't have what it takes, the less we risk. And the more evidence we collect that our dreams aren't possible, the less we believe in ourselves, which ensures that we never risk again. It's a completely closed loop. And honestly, this is one of the reasons I started offering the Spark Connection sessions. I realized that a lot of women don't need another aggressive strategy. They don't need another checklist or even more pressure right away. Women in our 50s at this stage in our lives need a safe space to stop and hear themselves, hear ourselves again underneath all the disappointment and the responsibility that we carry. So if this feels familiar, there's a link in the description below. And here's what I want to challenge. What if the problem isn't that your dreams were unrealistic? What if the problem isn't that you lacked ambition? What if something much more human is happening? The thing is that our brains are simply hardwired to protect us from disappointment, rejection, pain, and failure. So if life repeatedly teaches us that that's not going to work, or we'll get hurt, or we're going to fail, we gradually start building lives that are smaller, that are safer. And we don't stop reaching because we're weak or lazy. We stop because protection became more believable to us than possibility. But the thing is that humans fundamentally need possibility to feel alive. We need something to move toward, something to hope for, something that feels meaningful. When the gap between what you want and what you believe you can achieve, this is what I call the possibility gap, gets too wide, something inside us begins to ache. We become numb, regretful, restless, resentful. So I want to ask you a question. Is there something you still deeply desire, but have completely stopped believing is possible for you? If your answer is yes, don't judge yourself, because you're not grieving a dream that died. You're grieving the distance between who you wanted to become and who you gradually learned to believe you could become. And that doesn't mean you failed. It means that something inside of you still matters. Something beautiful still matters within you. So right now, I'm going to invite you to do a little exercise with me. Take a slow breath and, without trying to fix your entire life or figure out if this is realistic, just think about that thing, whatever it might be, that you still want. And notice your body's response. Did something soften within you? Did a small voice say, yes, I still want that? If it does, that is your proof that you haven't completely lost yourself. There's still a spark in you. And if this conversation is making you realize that you've been leaving pieces of yourself behind for a very long time, again, you don't have to figure out your whole life this evening. You don't need a flawless 5-year plan. You don't need to have all the answers. Sometimes the next step is simply creating enough space to hear yourself again, to reconnect with what still matters, to remember that your desires, your dreams, still deserve a place at the table. The fact that you still want more from your life, again, it doesn't mean you're unrealistic. It means that there's something still inside you that wants to participate more fully in your own life, that you know that things aren't over just yet. And again, that's exactly why I created the Spark Reconnection sessions. They're simply a chance to slow down for 15 minutes and have a different kind of conversation. Not about fixing your entire life, not about having all the answers, but it's about reconnecting with yourself, your dreams and your desires, and what might still be possible for you. So if you're ready to stop leaving pieces of yourself behind, you don't have to navigate that gap alone. Click the link below to join me for a private Spark Reconnection session, and let's create a little space for you to look at your next chapter together. Slow is still progress. So I thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.